Hi there. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to ask you an important question. Are you wondering why your hard work isn't reflecting in your bank account? If so, I've got something that could change the game for you. With my Digital Product Accelerator one-on-one coaching program, I'm on a mission to help entrepreneurs like you bank consistent revenue without sacrificing your time or sanity. Imagine shifting from 90% client-facing work to enjoying consistent revenue from your digital products, all while reclaiming your time. You already know that you don't need another course, and a one-size-fits-all approach isn't going to cut it. What you need is a strategic, long-term plan tailored just for you. So if you're ready to build the profitable, freedom-giving business you've dreamed of, apply to work with me by going to destinycop.com/apply. I cannot wait to learn more about you and your business. Welcome to the Course Creators MBA podcast. I'm your host, Destiny Cop, and in this podcast, we're covering actionable tips to grow your online course business. Before I begin, I want to let you know that this episode is sponsored by my Course in a Box program, which helps you create your revenue-generating course in less than a week. Course in a Box is on the AppSumo Marketplace at a special deal, and the link for Course in a Box on AppSumo is in our show notes. And today we are in our Course Creator series where I'm chatting with ordinary course creators just like you. We're going to talk about their journey in their online course business, how they got started, the challenges they've experienced, and how they overcame them. These are real discussions with real people. And let's get started. I have a special guest here with me today. I have Jodi Bourne. Jodi helps vacation rental owners and property managers market their vacation rental direct to guests without using sites like Airbnb. Jodi, thanks so much for joining me. I'm happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here, Destiny. I always love talking business.
Tell me, why is it important? First, I want you to go into details about yourself, what you do, but also tell us, why is it important for vacation rental owners and property managers to have this direct to guests where they're not using these outside sites like Airbnb?
Well, that's kind of a fun question for me, and it's why I got into the business, actually. And I'll go into why the entire business in just a second. But the reason I got into the business is because I had started my career in marketing as an adult. I was in my late 30s. I had my kids first and then went back to college and started my career. And I began working in nonprofit kind of human services and really burned out on that pretty quickly. As much as I loved it, it's just a really hard topic when it was women's domestic violence. And after 4 years, I just got burnt out on the sadness of it, and decided to do something a little more fun. I also had a daughter with at the time, some special health issues. So I wanted to be where I could be home with her more, not have to take off to go to the doctor twice a week, etc. So I started my own business from home, just kind of freelancing. I was lucky enough to have some financial support at the time. So I didn't have to focus too much on that, and could really just grow my business a little bit at a time, and started working with musicians in my area. I'm from Texas, and we have a huge, thriving local music scene. I was able to really grow in that, meet a lot of people, which led me to marketing music venues in my area of the state, which was super fun. And that kind of spurred my interest of helping CVBs, which is small town convention visitor bureaus, and turned me on to the tourism industry. At the same time, I was kind of working with, kind of part-time working with an online course creator who I really respected, who taught me so much more about marketing in general than just the traditional marketing I'd been doing. And that led me to this understanding that anybody can build a website and use it for their business. And a lot of people don't understand that any business can have their own website and their own, portal to their customer base. So fast forward a couple years, I had started, because of the tourism interest, started working with hotels and vacation rental owners and property management company outside of Austin. And in that, I started networking with individual owners and really started, kind of talking those folks into building a book direct business. Little did I know that movement was also growing across the entire world. People were getting tired of booking on VRBO, HomeAway, Booking.com, Airbnb, which leads to the answer to your question. The reason you should do that is there's so many reasons. If you compare pricing, if you just look at VRBO, when you book at VRBO, they're charging you a huge, hefty fee for that booking. I believe it's like 12%. So 12% of your fee goes to VRBO. The owner of the property is also paying a fee, a 12% fee or 15% fee actually. So the cost of that property, because of course they're going to up the rate for themselves, so they're still making money. So the cost of that property is almost 30% more if you book it on VRBO rather than booking direct with the owner. And that's a huge, significant savings for the consumer. Airbnb is much the same way. I think the fees are a little bit less, but you just don't realize that when you are using the system. And you also don't realize that you don't get to communicate directly with the owner as much. So the systems don't allow that communication at all really beforehand. They don't allow you to call and ask questions, those kind of things. And really the vacation rental industry, the folks that are doing this the direct way, they really care about the guest experience. They want to be able to provide you with details about your stay and the things to do. So it's a win-win for everybody when you search those places that are ready to book direct, which is why I started it. And, I've successfully helped tons and tons. I can't even say how many I've helped do this. So it's very exciting.
So you basically, and I'm going to walk through some of this, you basically help these vacation rental owners and property managers build their own business online.
Yep.
So, maybe it's a website, maybe it's a social media presence. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So there's steps to booking direct. And of course, the first step is going to be creating a website with a booking platform so people can go to that website and book, and it goes through a system where they pay. There's the guest communication either before or after the booking. So you have a website with a contact form and a phone number. You're able to call the owner. And then it goes through that process. But I started helping people with their social media and then realized their websites weren't very good. They were outdated, or they had built them themselves, or the booking integration didn't work properly. They didn't have any kind of analytics set up on the system. They weren't mobile friendly. So that led me into building websites. I had built websites in the past for clients and just decided, I took an online course in really building and optimizing WordPress sites. So that's where I even though I started with the social media aspect of it, I now typically, when I start working with a consulting client, or that's a client, I call a consulting client, which one that wants me to help them all the way through this system. And the first thing I do is either build a new website or optimize it for them. And then, rewrite their listing descriptions, help them with, finding the best photos or a photographer. It's just all the way down the system of building an online business.
So in the early parts of your business, you really started out with services, right? The social media services, website building services. And And then at some point you decided to pivot and to offer online courses. Can you talk us through why you wanted to do that, what you were feeling at the time, why you made that decision, and some of the strategy behind it?
Right. Well, so I mentioned earlier that I had worked with a course creator when I was freelancing and, needed a little bit more income. I got a full-time freelance gig with an online course creator who not only created his own courses, but that was his job, was his company did was optimize courses for other people. And we worked with tons and tons of industry leaders. There's a company called, now I've lost it, Digital Marketer, which a lot of people listening may be familiar with. We actually worked with Digital Marketer in the early days, and then some of the other properties that they own, and then, just tons and tons of different kind of course creators. And so I was learning the industry. I was learning, Webinar Jam back in 2015, which Webinar Jam, as you know, I'm not sure if your audience would, Webinar Jam was one of the original paid webinar systems where you could get people to take a webinar for free or paid, and it integrated all of that with sales funnel, et cetera. So my goal when I first kind of started was to build a course business. Even though I was offering services, I did that A, for the money, and B, I just really believe that that's the best way to get to know your target market, is to work with them on the service side first to get a feel for their needs and their wants and their pain points, all of those things that are so important to creating an optimized sales funnel. You have to know those things about your industry. And so I started there and then really quickly added the course part of it. My first course I built in 2018 was an Instagram course. And believe it or not, none of the online courses that you see out there, the typical Instagram, how to do Instagram, even the ones now that have all the templates and graphics included, they don't talk about the travel industry. They don't talk about tourism. It's a completely kind of new field for them, these course creators, because most of them come from the course creation industry or from, like Jenna Kutcher does the Instagram course, but it's for photographers. So I specialized in the tourism industry, in these vacation rental owners, small hotels, that kind of thing. And that course really it struggled obviously in the beginning, but has now grown, and I've added more courses to my programs.
Hey there, Destiny here, and I'm the host of the Creators MBA podcast. And this episode is brought to you by HelloContent.shop, your go-to destination for content creation in your online digital product business. I understand how busy you are as an online business owner. I am right there with you. And that is why I have filled our Hello Content Shopify store with low-cost digital products that you can use as a lead magnet or part of your paid programs like your online courses or memberships. We also have marketing templates like email swipe files and social media templates designed to save you time and money. So whether you're looking to streamline your content strategy, enhance your digital products, or just save some precious time, I've got you covered, my friend. Now visit the HelloContent.shop today and take the first step towards effortless content creation. So you started with services and you intentionally did that. And I would say that was, if I had to give some advice, which I think you recommended it to, that would be my advice for people who are just starting their online business, just trying, they know they want to do an online course in the future. Just start with the services. It gives you such great information about your ideal market, what they need, what they want, and how you can help them, that you can eventually, translate or emulate that into your online course offering.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, that's exactly right. It's, even with this business and having been working in it for a while, I didn't realize some of those pain points that I'm now able to speak to. I didn't realize, I also didn't realize the age demographic and the tech issues that my ICA deals with. And that was really important for me to figure out, and 100% led to my growth, both as a service provider and also as a course creator.
You mentioned that the Instagram course that you launched in 2018 struggled a little bit in the beginning. Can you tell me, looking back on it, I'm sure you have some idea why and maybe some of the things that you would have done differently?
I think the biggest reason is, and at the time it was pricing. I was fairly unknown in the industry. I had been on one, podcast with a vacation rental expert that was known in the field and talked about Instagram, but I didn't have the sales funnel set up at that time. So people would come to my website after hearing me and seeing the show notes on this podcast and want to work with me, but they didn't, that whole entire sales funnel wasn't set up to get them on an email list and get them moving towards a purchase. It was more, I had a contact form on my site, and they would contact me about help, and then that would lead to the service part rather than the course part. But I had a sales funnel. I just didn't think about putting it on the front page, like a splash page of my website. I had it as when I was doing my Facebook ads, etc., or when I was leading people to the Instagram course, I would share it. But, again, big mistake. I didn't have the sales funnel set up on my homepage. So when people searched for me, that sales page was there. And that was one of the first things I did when I realized that was change that funnel. At the time, I'm not promoting that particular course, so it's not on my front page of my website now, but I will when I start promoting again.
So let's dissect this a little bit, because I think some of the people who may be listening may be making the same mistake. I think it's very common, if they are. So you're not alone. They're not alone. But tell me a little bit more, and let's just break down this sales funnel, because I think it's important for people to understand how this actually works. So you were on a podcast, and if you had to do it all over again today, you were on this major podcast, and I remember you being on this podcast because you and I have known each other for years, and I remember this being such a big deal. So you were on this podcast. Tell me what you would do differently and how you would set this up for that.
So in the podcast, I made the mistake of thinking that everybody was going to listen to the podcast and go immediately to where I mentioned on the podcast my course sales page was. And it actually wasn't a course sales page. I had a lead magnet set up, which was a guide to using Instagram for the tourism industry. And it was a really great guide. It was like, 4 or 5 pages, perfect guide. And it was my website / I think IG or something like that, Instagram. And I made the mistake of assuming people would actually go to that website or that link. And they didn't. They just Google searched me, Jodi Bourne. And so, of course, they came to the homepage. So a sales funnel, the way I had my sales funnel set up was just, kind of the basic sales funnel. The course was $199, so it was a shorter funnel. I didn't have to do as much marketing behind the scenes. But so they came to the lead magnet page. They downloaded the lead magnet. It immediately sent them to a sales page. On that sales page, I gave them access to the very first video of my course, which was kind of a general overview of Instagram and how to use it for this industry. And then they could either buy from the sales page. If they didn't, I walked them through about a 3 email sales funnel where I tried to convince them to get into the course. The people who didn't get into the course for whatever reason decided not to buy, I moved them into a smaller sales funnel, which was a webinar funnel where I did a 1-hour mini class. What I found out was, because this industry is so, and not trying to sound bad, but most of the people, by the time they have a vacation rental or a vacation rental business to market, that's a hefty investment. So they've already, for the most part, had a career. They're in their early to late 50s and older. And so this was all new tech. Whereas at this point, I was teaching strategy. I didn't realize that these folks needed the tech. They wanted to see how to create a profile. They wanted to see exactly how to add an image, all of those things that I kind of discounted as they already know that, but they didn't. So redid my course, talked about, so basically what I was doing is I was speaking above their heads, thinking they were ready for this particular lesson. And I learned that from doing that webinar. I learned that because I would ask for feedback and they would say, this is all great, but I don't even know how to do this. Many people didn't even know that Instagram was an app that they had to use on their phones. So, it just led, as I said, just working with people and trying new things, and starting that kind of led to the changes that I made in the course and in the sales funnel.
And I think that's a big lesson for all of us, that what we launch with initially, and if we think we have the perfect sales funnel, it might not be so perfect. So you have to talk to your people, you have to look at the data, and you have to figure out what tweaks to make.
That's right. I mean, I'm redoing that course right now. The first time I did it was in June and July of 2018. I hope to launch the newer version of it by the end of this month, although now it's looking like it may be the first of next month. And because there's these routine questions that people have been asking when they get into the course. So I've had to, now obviously Instagram has changed a lot and added tons of new features since then, the stories and now the reels and guides. But so that was easy to update. I just added a couple of new videos, but this is strategy. These are strategy questions. So now I've kind of come full circle. The people taking the course have now learned the systems. They've learned how to do the things, the how-tos, and now they're coming back and asking those strategy questions. Now they've figured out that, this isn't as easy as it looks, just adding photos. How do I change that to get actual bookings? And so that's the modules that I've been adding, is, using different techniques to get to the bookings. And I also use this, so I also have a group coaching course, which is live coaching. And part of that is this bonus of getting the Instagram course as part of that experience. So that's where a lot more of these strategy lessons have come from, is realizing as I speak with my group coaching clients and in this group coaching program that they're ready for the strategy. They have already taken the courses, they've already done some of these things, they're ready to learn the next level.
So I know, and I want to talk about a little bit about your services, kind of the breakdown. I know that not a lot, but I know that a good amount of your revenue comes from your websites, where you're building websites for these vacation rental and property owners. And you're completely booked out for months and months and months. So there's a huge demand there for you. And I know you're in the process of growing that and outsourcing and hiring people to help you with that. And I know that you have some other income streams. Can you talk about a little bit about your revenue for your business, where the revenue's coming from, and where you see that changing in 2021?
Yes, because I think 2021, as I mentioned to you before, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that this is my year. Not to say I haven't been successful in growing my business, because I have year after year.
You certainly have, so don't discount that.
No, and I'm not at all, because, there's not everybody can have a successful online business. As you know, it is much more difficult in a lot of ways than people think. And that's why I tell everybody, the first thing you do when you're looking for any kind of online business is take some classes, invest in your own education through some of these, like you have that great course on the course creation part of it. But, there's other, like I mentioned, I took a $2,000 WordPress course because I knew that there was issues with WordPress that I needed to know before I could call myself a website designer. So, those investments that you make are just so beneficial. But the services, yes, as you mentioned, my website design, I am very, very proud of the websites I've done. I'm also very proud of the service I provide, because I'm not just you know, here's a website and I made it for you. I really get to know their business. I write much of the copy for their sites, because again, they're not familiar with search engine optimization. They're not familiar with copywriting in general and how to create kind of a sales experience within their listing description of their property. So I do all of that. I really get to know my clients. A lot of times they're not branded at all. So sometimes I help them name their rentals or their business. I help them name their properties. I help them determine some of these brand keys and everything. So I really get into the business part, and I think I'm appreciated for that. I also offer, as I mentioned, the social media setup services. I don't do routine social media management. It's just really because they're in, so many specific destinations, it would just really be unreasonable for them to pay me to learn and research all of these destinations. It would each industry, each business would be a different place. So I can't really manage, but I do teach them, and that's one of the reasons, I have this course, is I teach them how to manage, and I'll work with them in a kind of a coaching consulting basis, as long as they need me to help them with that content part of it. And then I also do some, what's called vacation rental specific services. I consult with them on providing the best guest experience, hospitality. I help them get off of the listing sites. I also help put people on listing sites, because you still have to diversify your marketing. You still have to be on listing sites until you've gotten that 100% booking capability. But so all of those vacation rental specific services I offer as well. And then there's just so much in this industry that I could be doing. It's a huge growing industry. And one of my favorite services that I do offer is blogging. I love the content marketing aspect of learning about areas and doing some research, keyword research, and blogging for them. That's really second to websites. That's my favorite thing to do.
And you have your group coaching program that you offer.
Yes. So that came out of, people wanting to learn these systems. As I mentioned, this book direct movement has grown so much. Next week on February 3rd is Book Direct Day. I think it's the fourth day, which is the day, hosts educate their guests and educate the public about what it means and why they should be booking direct. So that's a huge thing, but there's steps to this, and every kind of marketer or agency has their own different step system, but they're all basically the same. And so people that are in this industry are learning they have to do these steps. They have to be on social media. They have to have a website. So because of that, they're realizing, wait a minute, I have a website, but now what? How do I get people to go to my website? And so that's where they started coming to me in an individual consulting basis, just one-to-one, which of course is an expensive service. And so I found that many of them with just one or two properties weren't able to afford that one-to-one thing. And so just as my own wanting to help people, I decided to create this group coaching so it's less expensive for them to work with me in this capacity to learn these things, give them access to all of the videos and all of that, so that they kind of get the best of both worlds. They get 8 weeks with me where I'm teaching them directly. They can ask questions. They also get the courses to use later on if they need to refer back to anything. So, and then they save money.
And I love how you're bundling in your courses with the group coaching program. So you're helping them so they don't get stuck, but they also have your courses if they ever need to reference it at a future time.
That's right. And so I have a mini course on blogging, a mini course on email marketing, the Instagram course, which I wouldn't consider a mini course. It's a pretty big course for them. But the mini courses are what I consider just bonuses. I haven't started selling those directly yet, but I plan to. Like I said, I think this is my year. I plan to get those up and running as a separate purchase later, because there are people that understand social media marketing but may not understand how to do email marketing, and how to do, so that those courses I'm adding. And that's also, as you know, I'm a pretty giving person. Not to say that not every service provider is, but I really want people to be able to learn and do this on their own. I'm passionate about the industry and helping people. And so that's why I just feel like if they're going to spend, whatever with me for the group coaching, that I can provide those bonuses that really, once they take that group coaching and do those mini courses, they are going to be successful. 90%, 95% of them are going to be successful. And the ones that aren't, I typically tell that to them in the beginning. So, like if you have a vacation rental in Orlando, the chances of you ever getting any direct bookings from your website are just, almost non-existent because of that competition. I mean, look, Disney World is there. So, there's thousands upon thousands of vacation rentals there. So starting a new business and a new website there would just be, not conducive to booking direct. Now they can still reach out to their, previous guests and that kind of thing, but you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I do understand. It would be harder for them to build a web. It's just more of a longer term strategy, right? You got all that.
Right. It's a years long strategy. And so I tell them that up front, as much as I'd love to help you. And I learned that lesson from trying to help a lady in a one-to-one business in Maui. And, I just realized this was really going to be difficult and a long-term thing for her. And I guess we worked together for about 4 months. And so again, going back to my original statement, knowing your target market and knowing how you can help them. And so now I know my target market is not in Hawaii, because those people just need, they need to be able to afford a service provider that can work with them, all the time.
So Jodi, tell me, where do you see your business going in 2021? Do you see the online course part growing? Do you see your services growing? What are your plans for this year?
My plans are actually to grow both. Like I mentioned, I'm getting those mini courses together, the email marketing, blogging. Then I have the Instagram. I'm also going to be doing a Facebook group marketing course, which is a huge thing, and a Pinterest course. So, and these are all just basic level courses. Again, they don't go into the strategy because you can get the strategy from the group coaching course. So I'm definitely growing that side of my business, but also the service side. I just have realized that people are willing to pay me for my expertise rather than try to learn it on their own. And I've been working with businesses with more properties, luxury properties, so they're more expensive, and really working with what I refer to as vacation rental investors. So an investor is somebody different than someone that has 2 or 3 rentals and is growing a business. An investor is somebody that has 5 to 15 rentals and they're growing their business. And so there's a difference there because of the amount of income they're able to generate. And then I'm also started working more with small property management companies who are managing properties for others in their area. And they are also, you typically have between 15 and 50 properties that they're managing. And so again, they have a more income to work with me one-to-one.
So what I'm hearing from all of that is you're definitely growing your business. You're not going to be able to do all of this by yourself. Are you hiring people? What are you doing?
I hired a great VA in March who was working part-time, and we've been able to grow her work. She was completely new to online marketing, and so she's learning a lot of these skills that are going to help her. She's a photographer, So they're helping her with her business. But also she has really, really become more interested in the vacation rental business as well. And so, hopefully she won't leave me and start her own agency eventually, but she's been a great help. And then this year, because again, I'm taking on more clients. That's my big goal. Last year and the year before was trying to do one website every 6 weeks. And this year, my goal is to do 2 websites a month. So it's a big shift for me, and I have to have support in that. So I've just kind of working with and testing a couple of different agencies who can help me with that beginning setup of the site. So that's, setting up the WordPress, making sure everything is optimized on the front end, doing a lot of those tech things that I just, simply are very time consuming. But then I get to focus on the stuff that I love, the fun, which is working with the clients and getting to know their business, designing the site itself, and also, writing the copy. Like I mentioned, I love the blogging. And so typically when I'm working with a client, I'll try to convince them to at least start with 4 to 6 blog posts on the site. And so I get to do that kind of fun stuff and then leave that, what I call the tech nightmare, to another service provider that I can contract out. So I think that's going to be very, very helpful for my business growth. And then also I'm just, possibly going to hire somebody to help me manage my own social media. So I'm marketing more, because that's one of the biggest things as a solopreneur is, this constant struggle of where do I spend my time today? Do I spend my time on client work, which is the way I'm making money? Do I spend my time creating a course or working on my course, which may not be generating direct income right now, but hopefully is an investment into my future? Or do I spend money or my time marketing myself, going out and finding those podcasts to speak on, pitching a speaking engagement to someone, blogging for my own website, doing my own social media? It's those typical struggles. It doesn't matter how much you're making. Those struggles are always there until you can find the help that you need to grow. You can't grow without, you cannot grow without getting help. And there's other things you can't grow without that we've talked about before, and I'm glad to share if you'd like.
Absolutely.
Well, you can't grow without a lead magnet. You definitely have to have something on your website that generates leads that you can put into an email system and follow up with people on. It is the best way to get those customers. And just remember, even if you're getting people that aren't interested in your services, you're learning something about them just by seeing which lead magnets they download. I have my system set up where I can see when they download it. I ask questions of them after 2 or 3 days of the follow-up series, if they've downloaded it yet, what they thought of it, etc. So you're learning that. And then also, I fully believe you can't succeed without using Facebook and Instagram advertising. It's every time I run ads, I learn more and more about my business. I learn more and more about my customers. I had a mentor that told me one time, there's no such thing as failure in marketing. And I truly believe that. And the reason is because when you fail, you've learned, and you've learned how to implement better strategies. You've learned how to optimize your own marketing. So Facebook ads for one thing, as I said, having a lead magnet for another thing. And as you know, I'm a huge proponent of Google Analytics. I'm a huge proponent of understanding, what those people are doing when they get to your website, what pages they're visiting, what they're looking at, and maybe ignoring. If they're not spending time on a certain page, then how do I make that page better? So all of that. And that's, one of the things I focused on in December was optimizing my own website to make sure that my customers were spending more time on the site.
And I love what you just said there. There is no failure in marketing.
Right. There's not. And, you and I have, like you said, have known each other for a long time. I've cried to you on many occasions. Why, Destiny? Why? And it's just, it is a gamble to start an online business. And I hate to say that because I want to encourage people to do it, but it is, you have to, as I mentioned, invest in your own understanding of what I call the game. This is a game. And sure, there are the people that are making, millions a year selling an online course, but there's people like me who, I've tripled my income since 2000 and the beginning of 2019. So in 2019, I expected to go into the year, at about the same income I had made in 2018. And I had met that goal within 4 months. I had met that goal. I had a wonderful opportunity to speak at a vacation rental marketing, what are they called? Conference. Yes. A conference in early February of that year. And I just got so much from that conference as far as the networking, and, my business exploded. I had 10 websites on the books and tons of clients. And at that point, the Instagram course was exploding as well. So this year, I'm hoping to do $250,000. And, in 2018, I made about 40,000, which was barely enough to, and of course there's all the expenses associated with owning your own business and running your own business. But $250,000 is a pretty good, it's a pretty good income.
I think that's a great income, and a lot of people out there would love to have that income from their online business. Jodi,
yes.
What last minute advice do you have for other online course creators or entrepreneurs out there?
Well, one thing I wanted to mention about the sales part of it, about the 250,000.
Yeah.
That's a goal. That's a pie in the sky goal, but I've learned that pie in the sky goals kind of help motivate me. I have a piece of paper on the wall right behind me that says 250,000 equals. And it is broken down into what that equals. It's either, this many websites, this many course sales, this many new clients, all these things that I just kind of scratched out. If I don't make that, my other huge pie in the sky goal is to be able to do this and also have time for myself and my family. I've put my kids are adults, but I've put myself kind of last for several years as I've grown this business. And so this is the year that, even though I want to grow financially, I also want to invest in myself. And so if I don't meet that financial goal, but I'm able to spend more time with my husband on the weekends, or I'm able to spend time in the evenings walking my dog or reading, that would be, because, I'll be honest, there's weeks that I work 65 hours. So not working 65 hours sounds like a great thing to me. And so I'm looking forward to meeting one or both of those goals in 2021.
So I want to unpack a little bit about what you said there, because I really liked what you said about your $250,000 goal. And I don't think it's a pie in the sky, because I know where you are, and as we talk every week, and it's definitely not a pie in the sky. So don't discount it. But I like what you said about breaking it down to saying it means this many websites, this many courses, because that really quantifies how you're going to get there.
Yep. It turns it into a real thing rather than just, oh, I'm going to do this. It's kind of like saying, oh, I'm going to lose, 50 pounds this year. I don't know how. I'm just going to do it. Instead of saying, I'm going to lose 50 pounds this year because I'm going to walk every day, because I'm going to, eat more vegetables, et cetera, et cetera. So it just kind of breaks it down. I can look at it. And it also helped me realize I can't do that. There's no conceivable way. My average website price is, $2,800. There's no conceivable way I can do 90 websites in a year. There's just no way. Even with help, I couldn't do that because of that, that customer interaction that I want. I can't just farm these sites out to people who don't care about the customer. So I really was able to go, okay, well, if I add this and do that. And of course that 250,000 is not profit, it's income. And so I'm going to have to increase my Facebook advertising budget. I'm going to have to increase my contract labor budget, but I'm not going to have to increase them. I will still make a substantial amount of that revenue if I'm able to meet that goal. But that's the goal I've set for myself, and I can see it coming true.
And I also like what you said about more me time, because I think above anything, right, that's important. We can't continue to work. I'm sure there's people out there doing this. You can't continue to work 60 plus hours a week. It's just not sustainable. You have to be able to balance between work, your family, and just relaxation or book reading, like you mentioned, or taking your dog on a walk. So I think that's a very good goal and a good tip to leave everybody with.
Yeah.
Jodi, can you tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, it's jodibourne.com is my website. I am, Bourne is spelled like Jason Bourne, as I jokingly refer to as my older brother, which isn't true because Bourne is my married name, but people still find it funny. So jodibourne.com. And then on the socials, I'm /Hey Jodi Bourne. I don't know why I did that, but now I kind of like it. So it's Facebook, Hey Jodi Bourne, and Instagram. I'm not sure if I'm there, but you can find me on my website and search for me all over the place if you want to. I know most of your listeners may not be vacation rental owners, but they may know somebody who is. So definitely send anybody to me that wants more information about this growing industry. And investing in it is just it's really one of the best investments you can make if you're not doing an online business is a vacation rental, buying a vacation rental, if you're serious about it. But so I love it.
It's on my list. So
I do know it's on your list.
I have one in like 2 years, so I'm saving up for it now.
Yeah. And if you can book it, even if you're just starting out, want to book on Airbnb, you can make some money. So I'm hoping, my husband and I own 20 acres, and we're hoping to be able to build a couple of cabins on that in the next few years, for my me time, one of the reasons, but also as an investment into our retirement.
Course creators, thanks so much for joining us today. And Jodi, thank you for joining me. I loved your story. I love telling your story, and I know that you're going to do great things this upcoming year. If you guys have any questions about Course in a Box, which is offered on AppSumo, please reach out to me on LinkedIn or DM me on Facebook or Instagram. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Would love for you to rate and review the podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform and show us some love there. Have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.